I can't hear you. Your microphone's off.
How far away for the thrill is gone. I gotta get it on and find that strength. 'Cause the road I chose, yeah, it's always full. Those highway lights make me feel so safe.
Welcome to Innovative Strategies with Bill Haase. This show is designed to help people with their business and personal financial literacy, but not the way you've known. This isn't your grandpa's financial literacy, as Bill uses his 30-plus years in the financial industry to stretch your financial box from about a 31,333-foot view of things. Bill and his guests have helped hundreds of clients achieve and surpass their financial goals. If you have questions, email Bill at bill@billhaase.com. That's Bill at billhaase.com. Or reach out to him right here, 216thenet@gmail.com. Just put innovative strategies in the subject box. Today, oh man, technology troubles. What are we calling this thing?
Yeah, good morning, Kat. Yeah, I guess we can call it technology troubles, IT troubles, IT issues, concerns. If you're a business owner, small business owner, medium size, you're going to run into problems. You know why? Because you're not putting the whole system together. You're not thinking into the future, of your needs and expectations. So you kind of piecemeal things together. You remember when we had Amanda Russo here?
I do.
Talking about that process mapping that she is such an expert at. But it is the most tedious job to try and figure out once a company gets to a certain point where they have made so many patchworks into their IT world that nothing talks to each other anymore,
right.
And they get stuck, right? And so they either have to do this process mapping to go back, unwind everything, and hopefully it all can get put back together and work properly, or they got to scrap everything and buy a whole new system for a whole lot of money because they didn't plan from the get-go, or they didn't have somebody that can oversee it for them and watch over that for them. Today, how important is security?
Right.
That's going to come up, I'm sure, in our conversation here.
Russians. And
so let's get started.
You got a full house this morning.
We have a full house. First time we've had two people on the show at the same time, not counting me.
Right.
And we have a repeat, a be back.
Yeah. He's one of the originals.
He was the first guest that I ever had, Mr. Glenn Smith.
Thank you.
And
I noticed he invited me back.
Well,
for the life of me, I can't understand.
Well, you weren't supposed to talk.
Oh,
But you know what? And he brought along a friend who actually is part of this business. You're both part of the same business here, Candid Solutions. Joe Dix, welcome.
Hello, good morning.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you having you here. Again, these folks are with Candid Solutions. You do IT support in many different ways. But, so typically on this show, we talk about what are issues, concerns, problems business owners have and run into that they come to you for a solution.
Well, and let's do this because a lot of your people are going to be out there listening to the show and they may go to candidsolutions.com, but that's not the right place to go, right?
Yeah, I made that.
How do we get to where these guys can see what they do?
It's candid.solutions. So the .solutions serves as the .com. So it's just www.candid, CANDID, which means honest, .solutions with an S.
Awesome. I'll put it up there so it's out there. Yeah, so just candid.solutions.
Morning, Scott. Morning, Sally. Thanks for joining in.
All right, you're good to go now.
We can go now?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay, what was my question?
I don't know.
Why do people come to us?
So All-Star Wrestling. No,
Bill, you're on.
really, this is about IT. You know, IT's where everything's at right now, of course, right? But do you have proper IT solution in place for your business? You have the right people watching over it. You have the security systems in place. There's just so many different things and moving parts to this that sometimes business owners, especially smaller ones and those small, medium-sized ones, they don't have that department yet. You know, so do you have a solution for that?
Yeah, we do. So Candid really serves as two functions for a company. So it's an extension to an existing IT team that they have in-house today, and to handle tasks that, as you mentioned, security. It's really something that internal IT people should be spending their day on, focusing on locking down endpoints, anything on the network, and securing it. But when you look at companies and through the pandemic and all these different variables that happen to all of us throughout life, when you downsize it, the IT staff tends to be the first people to go for whatever reason.
I'm hard to understand. Well, you know, so IT is not a revenue generating department.
It can be.
It can be.
Yeah, it can be for sure. So when a lot of times you look at the IT expense of a company in any organization, it's typically a top 5 expense almost every time. And if you don't have the right IT infrastructure in place, especially now more than ever before with all the security breaches and ransomware attacks and things like that, one breach costs you your business.
Right.
So to not spend a little extra money to make sure
might get held up for ransom.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know, is there a day that goes by where we don't see somebody got hacked? You know, whether their Facebook got hacked, their email got hacked, or the business got hacked, and then we have the big boys, right? Target. How many times does Target have to get hacked before they figure that out?
It's happening about 400 times a day in the United States.
Yeah.
So, and these are, you know, no one.
That's businesses.
Yeah, for businesses, and that's what we know of, right? So there's really there's no one that's 100% safe. I work with a company called Stickley on Security, and Jim Stickley's world renowned. He's broken into the Pentagon twice in minutes. He's broken into thousands of banks, and that's what he does for a living, to show, you know, weaknesses in the. But to simplify this for the listening audience, though, this is not intended to scare anybody. It's just really about having the right people in place that you can rely on, that are going to be there for you day and night.
Right.
And help you guide. Because really, everybody's like, you got to give yourself a title. I don't really care about titles, but it's really about IT quarterbacking and helping them make the right supplier choices. There's so many suppliers today. It's exhausting, right? And you've got your Comcast and your AT&Ts and all the well-known brands, but there's so many other great companies out there that people just don't know about. You can't open the yellow pages and look up internet service providers anymore. You got to go online and Google it. And guess who you find? The people who spend the millions of dollars in the advertising.
Right.
But you're missing out on the gems and the hidden gems. And that's really where Candid prides ourselves into helping companies select the right suppliers as the foundation, and then building from there. And if you've already made those other selections, it doesn't mean you made poor choices. Comcast is one of my great suppliers. We were one of the first agents in Chicago for Comcast back in 2008. So we've been doing it a long time. So.
Yeah, you know, and that's important. You bring up foundation, and I go over this over and over and over again. Foundation is the most important thing. You don't have a solid foundation, you can't build the house. You can't put a roof up without a solid foundation, and then the walls. I had lunch yesterday with a gal that we're building a new business, and we talked about the technology side of things. How are we going to need that? Where do we expect to be, 6 months, a year, 2 years from now? And what type of IT system do we need in place to allow us to grow without having problems each time we have a growth spurt?
Yeah.
Well, Bill, let me introduce you to Joe. Joe might be able to help you with that.
Well, you're right there working with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you know that my career's been helping business owners grow their business, and along the way, one of the things that we've kind of focused on always is, for the last 23 years, is how do you save money in this business? Now, that isn't to say cut corners and be cheap, because when you
No,
cut
you
those
better not.
corners, then you got the problems
That's right.
that you're talking about. I mean, just yesterday, I was listening to a podcast, and this was not a widely publicized event, but there was a public water system in a small town in Florida that got hacked, and they started increasing the sodium dioxide levels to dangerous levels before it was discovered.
Wow.
So one of the interesting things that they said, Joe, is that the vulnerability of our public water system is huge. So we have a new market now. To go
I would
after.
imagine there's a lot of vulnerabilities
Yes.
out there in the public.
But the
sector.
food supply and
Yeah.
the water, because they're using that water to also water fields. So now we're attacking the food supply as well. So this is, again, not to scare the crap out of you, but
No,
there's
I heard the
stuff,
story.
There's stuff like this going on that we really need to be aware of. So if it can happen there, it can happen to your business. And like you said, Joe, I think that that's such a good answer to the question of one hack, one ransom can lose your business.
And cybersecurity doesn't have to be expensive. So when someone approaches that and looks at kind of building a roadmap for their cybersecurity strategy, you know, if you ever have anybody lead with, hey, let's do a penetration test, they can be expensive, and it's not necessarily the best way to get started. I think really ultimately we start small and just and simplify this. I think that's something that we do really well, is take this stress out of this IT business, right? Behind us, behind Glenn and I, and our business partner, Brian, we've got 350 suppliers in our portfolio, just in the IT realm, not in merchant services or anything like that, just in IT. You know, they're, again, Comcast, Lumen, you know, it was CenturyLink, was Quest. They keep changing the name, not sure why. But all these companies,
They're all going to be Meta something soon.
yeah, exactly. It's all going to be owned by Facebook. But, you know, we simplify it. And most clients come to us and say, or we go to the client and we're trying to earn business and just, you know, the right way. And we say, hey, let us take a look at this. Hey, we've got it all figured out. We've got, you know, Johnny on it. You know, he's on it. And inevitably, our clients are averaging 20 to 26% savings by utilizing us, just by not making mistakes. Now, we're not even getting into app integrations for CRMs and accounting softwares and all those kind of things yet, right?
Yeah, I hate CRMs.
So-
You need them.
So what don't you do?
Anything IT, floor to ceiling, we do. Anything outside of IT, we don't do.
So you'll create websites and things like that. You got teams to do that.
We have partners that handle that, for even down to specific industries like the dental and medical industry. And in fact, Glenn's brought a good partner to us recently, that someone that we can tap into in that as well, just to add into our portfolio. But yes, and search engine optimization, big in the dental space, right? You can search dentist near me on your cell phone, and if you don't show up, you're not getting that guy as a client.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, good point. And dentists, that's not what they do, right?
They don't.
How much time do you think a dentist spends on his IT infrastructure?
Well, I'll tell you. Can I tell you a real quick story?
Yeah.
We brought in a dentist. I'm not going to say his name without his permission, but out of the Barrington area. And a few years ago, I was sitting in the chair. He does orthopedic or surgery, periodontist and things like that. And he said, "Hey, Joe, what do you do?" And I told him. He goes, "Oh man, we need all kinds of help." He says, "I have an IT guy, but he just does my data backup." So I found out that the data backup guy, I met him. He ended up becoming one of our agents, because we have sales agents around the country. These are independent people. And we give them a business in a box. And this guy came to me and said, yeah. I said, look, if you don't lock this customer down, all you're providing is data backup. What about his phones? What about his internet? He just told me his internet fails 4 times a month on average.
Yeah.
And when his internet's down, he can't take credit cards. So his receptionist or his office manager is calling their clients, "Hey, can I get your credit card over the phone?" That's a compliance issue right there.
Big time.
So
I won't give it over the phone or email or text or anything. And, you know, that is important. And not just like dentists. I was out in Galena last year when the derecho went through and wiped that town out as far as internet. So we're spending 2 nights, 3 days in Galena, and we couldn't do anything because not a single restaurant could take a credit card.
yeah, and there's easy
None of the stores
solutions.
could take a credit card.
Those are easy fixes.
You know, and so basically the town shut down for 2 days.
Yeah.
And it's a tourist town. How do you shut down for 2 days? devastating is that, Glenn? You know,
Anytime you can't do business, you can't swipe, you can't record information. If they have a system, what are the redundancies that system has in place? And that's one of the things I think, Joe, you and I talked about with that particular problem with the dentist, where his internet was lost 4 times a month.
Yeah.
You had a solution for that, right?
Yeah. Listen, I mean, in the large retailers, the pizza shops, and the names that everybody knows, they're already doing this stuff. 3-4 years ago, Gartner coined this phrase SD-WAN. We've been doing SD-WAN for 20 years. It just wasn't called SD-WAN. It's software defined, right? So it's smart networking where your primary internet connection goes down. And guess what? While you're on the phone, if you're on a VoIP system, your phone calls drop. Everything drops. But if you have SD-WAN in place, you got instant failover. You might hear a slight pause and you continue that conversation. And that's just a 4G or 5G backup built right into the network. It's affordable. Doesn't have to be expensive.
Yeah. Well, that's important too, right? Because the biggest concern of business owners when they're considering anything to bring into their business to help their business grow or whatnot is cost.
Yeah.
That's first and foremost. You know, everybody's like, I'm not going to touch that. It costs too much money.
Yeah.
Oh.
Of course, you're listening to Innovative Strategies with Bill Haase. Today, we've got the guys from Candid Solutions out there, Candid.Solutions. And if people want to get in touch with you guys, you work pretty much globally, or how do they do that?
We do. We handle the majority of our businesses in the continental United States for sure. But yeah, we handle global. In fact, working with a company out of Hong Kong right now on their cellular. So, and we've done, but we are global with our suppliers. And that's what I was alluding to earlier with the 350 plus suppliers that we have, you know, the great people behind us. It's not just the Glenn, Brian, and Joe show, right? It's not us doing a lot of this work. We're, again, expertly picking the right suppliers. We've got a bench of 18 engineers that specialize in all the various IT platforms, ranging from cybersecurity. One of our cybersecurity leads was the lead for Disney Corporation. I mean, these are really valid people that know their stuff.
Right. I don't. Big time when you're dealing with Disney.
Yeah, and you know he's not there anymore. He's been scooped up. He was at CenturyLink for 5 years as their cybersecurity lead, and now he's out doing. He got picked up by a CEO of a company, and they're specialized cybersecurity for startups.
Well, you find value, right? You find value. You're willing to, you know, certain people can afford to pay more to get that top end, you know.
And that guidance, Bill, that guidance is at really no cost. We just want the the customers to have us part of their team and an extension of their company. And
well, you know what? That's an important thing to bring up because we had this conversation. There's a lot of support that you provide at no cost.
It is. Yes.
You know, there's a lot of backup support time that you spend with your clients that is not part of the package. It's not part of the cost. It's just that extra effort that you're willing to give that you might not find in many of these other folks that try to work in the same in the same space.
Yep, that's very true. And you know, most IT strategies are built around 3 to 5 year thoughts, right? Where you're buying new equipment, you're getting your infrastructure put in place, your servers and all that hardware and all the maintenance agreements. There are so many great solutions to bring companies to the cloud, to give them more security, less cost, more redundancy, easier to spin up businesses if you're going to grow your business. So all those things in place. And, you know, our strategy is 5 to 7 years. If you do it right, you don't have to reinvent yourself every 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, well, like Glenn and I are both old, so 3 to 5 years is a better window for us to be looking at.
Thanks, Bill.
You know, but I mean, realistically, you can't look. I don't think you can look past 5 years, just because technology changes so quickly and so fast. And we can go back to that submarine story with Australia canceling the contract with France building the submarines because in the 5 years it would take to deliver the submarines, the technology would be outdated.
True.
So they canceled that contract. So that gave me a real beacon to follow and say, okay, you know, I don't want to look beyond 5 years.
Yeah.
And even that is challenging, I think, because we are getting this technology. We have 10G out there that's coming.
Yeah.
You know, and it's coming down the pike. It's not an extension of 5G. It's a little bit different technology, but it works with the same infrastructure of what we have with 4 and 5G
I
right
thought
now.
they were just putting another tower next to the 5G. So
Yeah, yeah.
10.
2 5s is 10.
Just
yeah.
another really big
It's 10
microphone.
times taller.
It's a big microphone on top of the tower. It picks up all the voices.
We've got a question from a listener. They text in. I own a small roofing company. How do I know exactly what I need?
Give us a call, and we'll chat about what you're using. And the most important thing is not necessarily jumping to conclusions on this end. It's really finding out, are you having any challenges today that you're not happy with?
I used to say to my clients all the time, and I still do, is what's keeping you up at night?
Yeah.
If there's things that are just
Well, meeting payroll is number one. We know that.
Well, payroll is that, collecting your payments from your clients. So what could we put in place, or what could we suggest to you that you put in place to collect that? The most important thing in any business is, because of my CFO background, is you want the money.
Yeah,
You don't
ARs.
want it on your balance sheet sitting there in a receivables account. You want that in your bank.
Funny you bring that up, because the accounts receivable side, that's next week's show.
Is it really?
It is.
Yeah,
It is
that's
all
Okay.
about how to collect that money. We've got a very special guest next week, but we'll talk about that towards the end of the show, because next week's a really, really big show.
It's big shoe.
Big shoe.
Just tune in.
change. But let's
Tune
not take
in.
away, I don't want to take
we'll,
away.
We'll
from
leave
this.
that out there hanging. Just tune in.
Yeah,
That's all we can say.
yeah. That's all.
You
we
don't
can
want to
say.
miss. It's a not miss.
Let's do that. But I don't want to take away from this show and you guys and what you're doing, and because there's other things. Compliance.
It's huge, right? So
Right.
when you, and that's where just making sure if you get audited that you've at least shown you've taken some steps to in the right direction, but to do nothing. You had mentioned the water supply earlier, Glenn.
Mhm.
We have a fairly large agriculture company in the dairy space. Again, I'm not going to mention the name, but they're, this is a big deal company, right? And they're a top 5 dairy producer in the United States. And the compliance.
And I know the rules and compliance and
There.
dairy products are
it's
huge.
expensive. Yeah.
I saw an article or a post, I guess, not necessarily an article, but had a link to an article talking about companies that might be liable if their website isn't ADA compliant.
Yeah, we need Brian here for that one.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with
Okay.
that.
But I'll tell you, when it comes to websites, you got to watch out for a lot of things too. And those are things that we teach and educate our customers on, so they can be aware of it.
It's impossible to find somebody to design your website. I need help with that. And to be honest, I know a lot of people that design websites.
Yeah,
Their
you got to be
their
careful.
their pricing is all over the place.
It is.
Their background is all over the place. Their what they've learned, what they know, their education all over the place.
An easy thing to do is just go to candid.solutions. There's a live
Right.
chat. Let's chat. Tell them what you need. They'll probably find somebody for it. That's what I've heard. It's what I've heard.
Yeah, we're good at it. Back to the roofer. Listen, we love the support that we provide. We're passionate about it. You're not going to find better support. At the end of the day, it's really designed to simplify your lives and not add complexities. If you've got a lot of applications and things like that running, then we point you in the right direction.
Well, let's look at some numbers. So over the years, Candid has provided to its clients 40% cost reductions.
Yeah.
They've got 98% client satisfaction. You got 100% repeat customers. That's not just like 6 months.
No,
This is over years and years. That says a lot about Candid. That says a lot about who you two guys are, what you offer, what you can bring to the table, and the value you bring, because you got them all coming back.
we haven't lost a customer in 11 years, over 11 years, and there's absolutely no reason, right, to leave us. And there's actually no reason to do this stuff on your own. Focus on your core business. Focus on your business. Focus on making money. Don't focus on, I'm going to do this video and I'm not going to name the supplier, but if you get on a phone call with some of the customer support with some of these suppliers, you can grow a full grown beard in the amount of time that you start to finish.
That's just getting through the queue.
Well,
yeah.
not Kent. He has a hard time growing hair, but still.
Yeah. It's
no, I
aggravating.
get your point, and we all know the trials and tribulations of going through these phone calls with customer service in many areas, and right now it's tax season, so you try and call the IRS. Good luck. it's going to be a week or two, and we'll call you right back, kind of a thing. But yeah, it's daunting, and this isn't what you do. This isn't why you started your business. Otherwise, you'd be doing what you two guys do.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, you've got products or services that you're working out there, moving out there, and that's what your business does. You need. We talk about this all the time here. You need support. You need to reach out to other people to help you. I have learned that so much since this show has started, because I'm starting a new business, and I brought 5 people into my circle because they're all experts at what they do. And ironically, IT is not one of them yet.
Let's get in there. Bring us
but
in.
there's an opportunity.
Yeah, it sounds good.
I wrote your name down.
Yeah,
Bill needs help. It says it.
Remember,
right
that's
there.
HASSE.
That's right. HAAS.
Right.
One thing that I'll forget to mention if I don't bring it up now is that if you're an existing if you have your own IT team, that's awesome. We are an extension. We know how to stay in our lane, and we don't care about getting credit for anything. I don't care about my logo. I don't care about any of that. I care about getting jobs done. And to act as an extension of an existing IT team, we have enterprise clients, right?
Yep.
And the ones that don't have the big egos, and they say, hey, Joe, hey, Candid, we don't want to be ordering and provisioning data circuits for our company. We don't want to order Comcast because it's a waste of our time. There's 0 extra cost. In fact, we have a software that has 83 API feeds coming into it every month. API integration. So it's just the Comcast, for example, is one of them. AT&T is one of them.
Okay.
We get all their promotional pricing every month. It changes monthly. We make sure the customer is aware of when that promotional pricing is going to expire.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no surprises.
Yeah.
We do bill reviews with our clients and quarterly business reviews with our clients.
Wait a minute. Comcast, ITT, they don't like that.
You know what?
Because
retention.
Because it's beautiful, right? We sign up, we get that 1 month free, but we put our credit card down, then we forget the date.
They do like it.
And then they start charging, XM radio. It's a classic case right there, right?
Yeah.
And some of those auto warranties.
They may not like the lower cost bill, but they do like the repeat business.
All right. So you guys, you're the non-sexy part of business, right? So literally I get in my car. I don't care how it works. I just want it to start up and get me to where I go. IT really is that engine, right? So I don't know code. I don't care about that. How do you I like the smell of the leather seats in my car. I like
you're the luxury guy.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I'm not the sports car guy. You're the luxury car guy.
I when I go to work, here at the station, I want to turn things on. I don't care how it works.
I don't want a flat tire.
I don't
want an engine light coming on.
How with what you guys do, you never get called until the oh shit moment, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So it's like, my business is now failing. How do we help business owners get around that stigma to not wait to the oh shit moment? Because now I'm losing time and revenue. Now I'm losing everything.
So my question is like an evaluation.
Yeah. No cost.
You come in and do an assessment and evaluation. There's no cost involved in that.
No cost.
Really?
Just like anything, just don't waste our time, right? We want to get in, take a look at it, and then give us a chance at showing what we can do.
Yeah.
Right?
We want to win your business.
Yeah, we want to win.
And provide superior service. Now everybody will say that.
Yeah.
Right.
But to your point there, IT is not a problem until it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's your point.
Right.
And so let's talk about, I think a conversation, if you guys are okay with this, is, from startup moving forward. A startup, the main problem is that there's usually a person.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a couple of people. Sometimes there's investors. The more robust you are, the more you're going to look at what do I need IT wise to support my business?
Who do I call?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what most people have is just a laptop when they start their business.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I know a couple of guys, they started a business with a laptop and a lawn chair in a 3,000 square foot office.
They were thinking ahead on the size of the
Bill
office.
Gates?
He was a
And these
600
guys-
square foot garage, I think.
These guys called me when they were about 8 months into business and they needed help. and they needed experience. And I color my hair gray on purpose because they hired me. They said because I have gray hair, and so every month I get it colored.
It's a great point because people don't even think quite often. Look, we've had roughly 2 million new businesses started since January of last year.
And startups are our specialty, right? No
2 million.
contracts, setting it up the right way the first out of the
Right.
gate.
I guarantee you 1.9 some million of those startups didn't really take into consideration, okay, what kind of infrastructure am I going to need IT wise? And where am I looking to go? Where am I expected to be? You know, there's a lot of things to think about. But IT, I think, is right. It's the engine, right? So you have to make sure you get that engine and purring like a little kid.
And the one way to not get it purring is to pick up the phone and call your supplier yourself and try to do it yourself. It doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
So this model has
game.
really shifted, and we're not still using pagers on our hips unless you're a doctor maybe, and that's typically those are even have advanced around the neck, right? But why are we still picking up the phone and ordering services for IT when we are not IT professionals? Why? Because it's been expensive to have someone come in and do that for us.
Well,
And now it's not. This is a new model.
A lot of people don't know the IT world and they're afraid of it. Look, I give you an example. My son had said to me for like a year, why don't you just get rid of cable TV and just go stream internet, and just sign up these services. And I didn't do it because I didn't want to have to learn all new channels and all new system and all that stuff. But I was leery because I'm not technology.
Fear of loss.
Everybody knows I'm technically challenged, and in many areas, right?
Yeah.
But particularly in IT. And so I didn't make that change until when I finally did. It was like within a week, I was like, wow, this is way better.
Yeah.
This is like, why didn't I do this a year ago? Well, my son kept telling me, you should be doing this, Dad. And then I tell my neighbors and I say, you got to do this. And they have the same reaction. Like, oh, I don't know. It's fear of lack of knowledge of the IT world. Yeah. Just like we have a fear of talking to a financial advisor because we don't understand the financial world.
Yeah, absolutely.
We
fixed this model and we continue to improve it. It's a true, it's almost too good to be true, quite honestly, right?
Yeah.
You pick up the phone, we answer, and you can chat with us. Every customer gets their own landing page where it shows the suppliers that they have chosen, that we've helped them choose, with escalation phone numbers. So they take the guesswork out of if they want to do something on their own and make phone calls. Yep. Otherwise, call us, handle it for you. So it's supply chain, it's the carrier management. And, we haven't gotten into so many different things, and I know we'll run out of time, but the net of it is we simplify this process, whether you have IT people or not. End of story.
Well, and the bigger you grow, the more difficult this becomes.
Yeah.
The more challenges you have and that you face. Compliance being one of them, of course, but many other areas. And I'm assuming because, again, I'm technically challenged. So, but I know when there's growth, there's issues because you start adding different processes or procedures on there. And you're like, oh, well, my system doesn't do that. What system's out there that does? And somebody comes in and sells it to you and you plug it in and you use 10% of whatever that system is, right? You don't use the other 90%. And then it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's got to be simplified.
Once you grow even more, you keep doing patchwork.
If you go back to the roofing company, the person who asked the question, it's internet and it's communicating with your clients. You can make sure your internet is working. And when you're in the field and you're out looking for roofs or you're fixing roofs, how are you communicating where you actually show in-office presence from your cell phone? You don't need a physical phone sitting on your desk. We can put in Ring Central. We can put all the names everybody knows, but so many other options that are specific for dental, for roofing, construction. We have construction clients too, but it's listening to the customer really and learning. And Bill, you taught me that, right? And so did you, Glenn, where don't talk about your solutions. Let's figure out what we're doing. What issues are we resolving? Everybody's business is different. We don't go in thinking we know everything.
We've got some folks commenting here. Gary, welcome, Gary. Great to have you on the show. And Scott, they're both hitting it on the head. The FOTU, right? Fear of the unknown. we all deal with that in different areas. But boy, oh boy, I can't think of too many business owners that have started up a business in the last year and a half that have no fear of IT aspect of their business.
Here's one of the questions along with that fear that comes up is, man, how much is this going to cost me? And the real question is, what does this cost me because I don't have the right things in place?
That's right.
So I think we were talking about one of the recent clients that came on board, and just by changing how they process their credit card payments, merchant processing, and changing the system that they were on, once the wife accepted it, because she wanted to do all the daily closings herself. Once she allowed the system that was automated to do it, she saved 15 hours a week
per month. Yeah.
So,
but she'd been doing this for 30 years, and the owner said, "My wife is never going to give up batching and doing all the batching." I said, "She doesn't have to. She can do it on her own. It's just it's there if she wants it." I would recommend that she just compares the numbers and then within a week, the guy called, or 2 weeks, the guy called me and said, "Come pick up the printer. We don't need it." And the customers love the email receipts. And this is a business that's been around for 50 years. They've been doing the same thing over and over. So fear of the unknown.
Now,
they didn't want this.
But that frees up your employee, the wife in this case, to do other things.
Now think of that.
That might generate greater returns.
Transfer that to the business owner now.
Yeah.
What is the number one activity of every business owner? Does anybody know? I'll give it to you. You ready?
Worry.
Revenue generating activities.
Right. Well, yes.
Revenue generating activities. The minute the business owner takes their eyes off of that to worry about IT, to worry about merchant processing,
HR.
to worry about HR, to worry about all that other crap, they're losing money because they're not doing the most.
That's fear, right? So fear of IT, don't worry about that. IT is easy. It really is. It's not complex unless we get into really big networks and things like that. We simplify the heck out of this. So don't be fearful. Just if you are fearful, then that means you're doing it on your own, and you're worried about it because you're taking your eye off the ball.
So Gary over in Singapore, great business owner as well, says here locally we have 4 fears, the 4 Ks in our lingo, our society: FOMO, FOTU, fog, fear of government, and FOW, fear of wife.
I share in the last one.
Gary, that's international. It's everywhere, without question. And thanks for that comment. That's great.
If my wife is listening to this, I am fearful of you, just so you know.
With all the love in the world, but
I do not fear my wife at all.
I don't believe you.
She's never watched this show, but so we're good. She's
I'll send her
this
clip.
She's out in the fields working right now, so she's good.
I'll send her this clip.
There you go.
Yeah,
you are a friend.
You're always good for that, Ken.
You're a giver.
But you
That's
talk
right.
about, so all right, so you get into the business a little bit, you get started everything else. You need scalability. You need flexibility, right? There's changing business requirements. Maybe there's even a change of regulation. There's all kinds of things that can go on that if you're not on top of it, you're behind, right?
Yeah,
and your competition's gonna be on top of it. So you better.
That's one of the things we see a lot of. We ran into a client in the last 6 months that signed a 5-year agreement with Windstream, right?
Okay.
That is brutal. We talked about
that's
now.
a long time to sign for somebody.
Just to specify what I mean by that is the pricing changes so much as technology improves. That older technology that they have in place, like PRIs for their phone system, we don't have to get into what that is, but essentially like 23 lines in a single circuit for their phone system. The old phone systems operate on that stuff. It's $800 a month that we found him in savings. And we're able to negotiate with the supplier to do a technology improvement package, renegotiate that contract for them, get that $800 savings in place right away.
Wouldn't that be part of a 5-year deal? If I sign a 5-year plan, I'm going to be thinking, hey, this had better include updated technology. It better include updated pricing.
Yeah, and that 5-year agreement was not signed with us, by the way. I don't do 5-year deals. With anything.
Yeah, because there's too many what if.
Yeah, and when we were talking earlier about 5 to 7 year strategies, that's different, right? That's just looking out and making sure that we're putting things in place that we know are going to work, that are scalable and flexible. So if you have a downturn in your business, right? It's unfortunate. Of course, the last thing you need to be worrying about is suppliers that aren't compassionate with your business, that don't have that flexibility to scale up and down for you. So we make sure that's in place.
Unless you're a player in the NFL, you don't need a 5-year deal.
That's right. Yeah. And if you get a 5-year deal in the NFL, 100% injury rate, you're doing well.
That's it.
Yeah,
Guys,
let's not go there, because I still don't get how somebody's worth $50 million a year, but whatever.
Yeah.
Then that's your call, Green Bay.
Yeah,
But-
of course, you're listening to Innovative Strategies here at 21.6 The Net. If you have questions for Bill Haase, Innovative Strategies for you, reach out to him at Bill Haase. That's HAASE.com. And Joe and Glenn, if somebody needs you, which pretty much everybody does, how do they get in touch with you?
Go to our website, candid.solutions. There's no .com, and go to contact us or contact and just submit the form, and we will be contacting you within 24 hours.
Right. Now, another thing I want to do, you've mentioned it a couple times, Joe. You've got a unique business model, I guess, right? So a lot of us think of IT as, hey, it's Gary over here. He's working from home. You know, he's checking in my SEO, or, you know, it's like kind of a one-man gang type of, when I think of IT anyway, because I'm a small business, right? When I think of IT for the bank that I work at, there's 2 guys, right? So you kind of always have that notion of what IT is, but you guys have created an incredibly unique model. And what I've heard a couple times is I don't have to deal with Xfinity anymore.
You don't, nor should you. But if you do figure out how to navigate their phone system and to get to a live person, let me know.
And one here stateside too.
So so let me ask you this question, because we think, okay, this I mean, IT, I get a TV nowadays, an LCD. It's going to last forever. I get a computer. Shouldn't it last forever? But we know computers don't, right? Because we have to buy them every few years, every 3-4 years, because they burn out or whatnot. This is the same thing with systems that businesses bring into play, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's assets and provisioning of those and redeploying assets. We do all that as well. So help desk support. If you just have a need for a few hours of help a month, we've got solutions for that. And we can really work with you to scale it the right way and not waste your money. You know, the biggest thing is, and I don't think anybody believes me when I say this, but I really spend my clients' money like I spend my own. I don't like spending money.
I know. I had to buy the coffee.
Yeah, I just don't like waste. I don't go to the Starbucks to get a $3 cup of coffee, right? We make our own.
You can get a $3 cup of coffee at
You
Starbucks?
get it black and like the plain Jane,
They just
right?
pour it in your hands?
Yeah,
or what?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no cup involved.
Yeah. No, it's really fun to help businesses count their money rather than just spend it all the time. And you don't have to spend a ton of money to have systems that work well together. You know, not everything's cheap. Not saying that, right?
Right.
But
So let's digress. Let's go back. I'm starting a business and everything. What would be like my best practices? What should I be thinking about as I'm developing this business? I'm going to start it up. I'm going to grow it. This is my product. This is my service. I know what that is. I know who my market is. I know what my product is.
So
Those are the 2 things you have to know to start a business, folks.
how are you going to take payments? Right.
So, right. So, yeah.
So
okay.
we've got a whole thing that we
How am I
haven't
gonna get
talked
paid?
about, right? It's a whole nother vision. Out of the 350 suppliers plus, we've got this whole merchant services. It is a dirty business. It's brutal.
Yeah, it is.
We're saving customers so much money. I'm shocked at the amount of money, and it is just being fair to people. And and we still make money in it.
Something interesting
But it's
about
a win-win.
that on the security side of that. We have to sign our name. We put our credit card in. We have to sign our name, and now it's on the little electronic boxes that nobody can do their finger with or in their name and everything. So it's not legible. People do smiley faces. They do all kinds of things. What's the point? What's the purpose?
Yeah, it's up to the client.
I mean, why do it? Well, first of all, as a merchant, why would you ask credit or debit? Because if merchants most likely have a higher fee charged to them for people using a credit card than using a debit card. So I tell merchants, I say, you just say debit? Don't even offer the credit part.
Yeah, I don't know that my clients aren't really offering that because the machines are doing that automatically now. They'll identify if the card's a credit card or a debit card.
Yeah, but people still have the choice of
how to
use it.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, these machines are touchless now. They're more compliant. They're secure. but they're only as secure. It's another endpoint a device that's sitting on that customer's network. So there's access into that device. They're into the network. Now they're a security risk, right? So
And we've got Scott Giles up here asking if you guys do merchant services.
I have 101 suppliers, right?
So you a little bit?
Heartland Payment Systems, Fiserv, Card Connect, WorldPay, everybody that's anybody. And then we also do the point of sale machines.
And Scott, for $50, I can hook you up.
Yeah.
We'll stop by your shop, Scott.
Yeah.
Of course, that's
And we're real aggressive with that. So,
but yeah, so that's just part of the services that you offer.
That's right.
And there's
we were pushed into that.
Yeah.
We weren't ever
well, it
doing
makes
it.
sense.
We weren't doing it. I was like, what? They're like, well, you help me with all this. You want to really help me? Help me out with this. I'm paying $4,000 a year in fees.
I know folks out there that do sell that service. And of course, everyone I talk to, they sell the best service and they charge the cheapest fees and they can handle the most transactions and they have the best reports.
They say they have the lowest fees and then you get this statement and there's all these other fees that they didn't show.
Yeah.
We break it down granularly, line by line by line. You know exactly what you're going to get paid. And then we do bill reviews to prove the savings and everything that's in place the right way.
Yeah.
We actually even do the energy in deregulated states.
We just saved a guy on water with a triple patented product, right, Glenn?
Yep.
A car wash. Again, I can't say their name, but
triple patented?
Over 700,000 in savings in 10 years is the estimation right now.
Yeah.
It's a patented product. Honeywell uses it. But
$70,000 a year is something somebody can live on.
We love thinking outside the box.
This is a place collecting quarters. I mean, you think about car washes, a lot of them, it's a low ticket item.
Yeah.
And that is a ton of money.
Yeah, and these guys are membership driven, and so they got all that too, and then the coins, and they got all that.
Car wash place by my house is booming. Those guys are just booming.
Look, Illinois is a deregulated energy state, right?
Yeah.
So you can choose Constellation. You have choices. We have an energized platform. It's very cool. Glenn, you just used it yesterday for a new customer coming on board, and it is it's just slick.
Well, you guys, here's how I could see how you would really be a help. So I know there's a lot of people that say, oh, sign up, for my service and we'll save you between 1 and 10 or 15 or 20% or whatever. And then you realize it's never more than that 1%, if that.
Yeah.
And you're kind of locked in, at least for the year or something like that.
Yeah, not with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Scott Giles, he owns Cannabis CBD shop here in McHenry. He wonders if your merchant services works with CBD shops.
We do have the ability to do that now. I'm proud to say.
Nice.
Not everyone will
welcome
work.
to this new century here.
So we do have some options there, and Scott, we'd love to talk to you.
So what you want to do, Scott, is you want to go to candid.solutions. That's candid.solutions. That's it. Just stop there.
Scott, you and I are friends on Facebook. Just message me.
That's it. And you can do contact and they'll get back to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Or reach out to us here. Yeah. Reach out to me. Reach out to 216annette@gmail.com.
If you know Bill Haase. Yeah.
And, and we'll hook you up. We will do that with anybody who comes on this show, because the purpose of bringing these folks on the show is to help you understand your issues and your problems you're going to run into.
Scott says, guys, he's down at the CBD shop till 11. Just stop by. I'm sure they're not busy.
Yeah.
Well, let me go back to what I was talking about with energy. So I was at a client's the other day, a prospective client, and I just said to her, I said, hey, why don't you let me take a look at, and I suggested a couple of things. She goes, this is fantastic. I was thinking about how to cut expenses in my business. Now, show of hands, what business owner isn't thinking about cutting expenses?
Well,
anybody?
The ones that are failing.
There you go.
That's right.
And so I gathered a couple of pieces of information from her, and we went back to Joe and I looked at it, and looks like we're going to save her about 33% on her electric bill. 33%. Wow.
You put solar panels up?
No.
You guys do that?
We don't, but
Okay.
we could probably figure that one out too. But we aren't doing that. But that's just one thing. It'll turn out to be on their bill about $500 a month just for the electricity.
Well, Scott, you got to get in touch with these guys because you own a couple of shops.
Yeah, our business model is pretty intense, but it's nationwide easily, right? And we've got clients with a lot of locations, but making sure we're simplifying it. Their internet is up, It stays up. They can take payments and they can receive calls. If it comes down just to that simplicity, and then layer in some compliance and some security advice, then you're winning already.
Now, so that's the assessment evaluation you're doing, going in and whatnot. Now, do you continue that process? They become a client, and so annually, biannually, it is.
No, we never talked to them again.
No, but
We're done.
But I mean, you're going back into the system saying, hey, is everything healthy? Everything good? Everything's going right with the systems, not failing here or there because of whatever reasons. Systems do fail.
Usually touch point calls or emails or just something like that every 3 months.
Yeah.
Hey, think of us too if you like what we've done. We survey every customer to find out what we could have done better. If we're not getting 10 out of 10, we're asking why, right?
Yeah.
Because it's straightforward. Now, national low voltage cabling, we've got many suppliers in that space too. So if you need Cat 6 cable runs and you got to have infrastructure improvements, things like that, we're talking floor to ceiling, including security cameras, not just cyber security, but physical security too.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's all getting important.
A listener texted in, do you work with just businesses or households?
Just businesses.
It sounds like you could save my family a lot. But
Well, if you want
Your question, Kent.
you can create a business name and you put it all
There
under
you
a
go.
business name.
That's it. Jones Inc.
Well, because good question, because a lot of startup businesses start from their homes.
Yeah,
I run 3 businesses out of my home.
So you're touching on something that now is you're hitting a hot point with me. When you have remote users of any kind, that infrastructure is not built by a corporation. It's typically very weak, and there's a lot of security breaches in there.
I can imagine.
So we help you with simple solutions like Big Leaf Network, just overlaid on top of your router. So many little, very affordable solutions that will at least block out things that, look, if you're buying antivirus software from Best Buy, you're losing.
Yeah.
You might as well save your money.
We won't go to
And
that story.
then,
I got stories.
And then if you have
Not Best
old,
Buy, man.
if
I
you have
got last
old
time.
technology, then everybody's like, I've heard WebRoot's really good. It's a resource hog, right?
So you
There's
just
better
mentioned
ways to do this.
You just mentioned routers. So a larger, not a 10-person business typically, but you could go that low. As you grow, and let's say you have a business that's got 100 routers in their building. My guess is that several of those routers you're paying a maintenance fee on that you're beyond what you should be paying.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
so one of the things that we would do is go in and do that assessment to go out to the routers and pull back the information to determine. You wouldn't believe there's a gold mine of money in there because these things are sitting up in a ceiling somewhere. Nobody thinks about it.
Glenn, the universities, and we're starting to work with a university out of Arizona right now. And the CIO is a real brilliant guy, a lot of experience. Again, just as an extension of his team, we are looking at replacing all of his Cisco gear, getting rid of all those maintenance agreements for him. We're comparing 2 companies, Cato Networks and Open Systems. These are they're legendary companies. No one knows about them. Have you guys ever heard of them?
Nope.
They're unbelievable. And so in terms of taking this guy's cloud strategy to a whole another level, right? Getting rid of that hardware that you have to maintain physically. You have to push your own updates to it, as often as you need to. And if you're on Azure or anything Microsoft, right? The updates are extensive.
Yes, they are. Every week. And they are extensive, sometimes 70 plus updates, right? And if you don't do it, the rest of your system starts slowing down more and more.
And we can set that up to work after hours and just, and guide you on that too. So those are things that we can get into.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's awesome. I know on Wednesdays when my system starts slowing down or my email's not working properly or something, I have to restart because there's all those updates that just came through. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot.
I think in 2020, when all the companies started realizing that their IT teams were as good as they are, their remote strategy was non-existent.
Right.
So we probably sold more phone systems that year than maybe my entire career.
Okay.
But when you think about then locking that down, even down to the VPN, so when you have to connect to your company's server to pull down this SharePoint drive to open up your company files and things like that, all of that stuff has to be provisioned and locked down the right way. You can't give somebody access to the entire SharePoint drive, right?
Right.
So we can get into all that stuff too. But at the end of the day, It's just, again, it's simplifying. If you're working from home, you can still operate like a business.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I love that. We're
Don't,
down to,
and by the way, don't plug in a flash drive you found in the parking lot that says CEO salary. Don't do that.
yeah, if I'm going to be CEO, don't touch my salary. Absolutely. I mean, we're this is a lot of information. This is a lot of knowledge, a lot of information for folks to absorb. And I hope what they're getting really out of this is how valuable and important the service you provide is, and how valued and important it is. Just to, you have it.
Yeah.
You're using it.
Can I make one last comment?
Yeah.
A lot of
You got 5 minutes.
A lot of the IT folks that I run into, or companies that I talk to, business owners, operation managers, whatever, there's like, it's the attitude that I get from IT people. There's a lot of really wonderful people out there that are very talented, but they may not be the best people facing, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't make you feel uncomfortable. I had a client out of Tennessee yesterday. It's a division of LPL Financial, and they're like an all-state agency, right?
Kind of a big company.
Yeah, but it's not LPL, but it's just one of their agencies,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Independently owned. And she said, hey, she sent me an email. I've got the email. I'd almost love to flash it on the screen. I know we can't do that, but there are 4 items. Hey, Joe, can you take care of this? I'm just back from vacation. I'm overwhelmed. We've got our one lady's out of the office who helps me with operations. And she gave me this list. Now I'm working directly with this client. I called up the supplier, happened to be LogMe and GoToConnect, which is a VoIP provider,
Okay.
UCAS, Unified Communications.
Mm-hmm.
And we worked through in 45 minutes. I didn't send her a bill on this, right? Now, we don't always do that, right? Because our time is valuable. So when certain things we will, if we want to act as an extension, we'll send you $50 a month or something like that. There's different various levels. But at the end of the day, I reported back to her and said, hey, these 3 items are done. You have to fill out this form to make this change. And then we can release that number. And then your text messaging is going to start working again. But I pulled in the supplier. In 2000, I spent internally as a company, we spent over 600 hours on the phone and Zoom calls with supplier management and education, just knowing who is who and what they do well. And you'd be shocked at the number of companies out there that are billion-dollar organizations that don't have good process in place.
Oh, that wouldn't shock me, but yeah, I can get what you're saying.
Yeah, so we're very process oriented, and so when we put a solution in place, we know how to resolve things very quickly. The average working with I had the fortune of working with Jones Lang LaSalle here in Chicago, and I worked underneath Joe Ryan's organization, and I can say those names, but he's the global CTO now. Talk about busy, right?
Oh, it's a great company.
Outstanding team and talent. We were able to find a lot of money savings just by renegotiating contracts.
Yeah.
So there's always room for
efficiencies.
Yeah, there's always
Run
room
efficiently.
for efficiency improvements.
Because running inefficiently is throwing money out the window.
Yep.
And if you haven't had a professional like these 2 gentlemen come in and do an assessment, evaluation, and work with you and show you how they can save you money, I got to ask you, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Because you don't really, you can't. Again, you start a business, you're wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah.
All right. You can't do everything. And if you aren't focusing on money, like Glenn says, and revenue generating business, then you don't have a business.
No. And behind Glenn and I and behind the Candid team, we have the suppliers that back us. They've all ripped their model down the middle. They've got their direct employees that they pay salary and benefits to. And then they have their teams that support agencies like Candid Solutions. And our support is phenomenal.
That's fantastic.
Our AT&T
well, you have
team,
those relationships. You've got the good relationships, and that's
right.
That's where the value is.
That's right.
And boy, we're under 2 minutes. We got just under 2 minutes.
Yeah, about a minute and a half.
Time flies.
That's it.
Is there any last thing that we always talk about how you can't bring everything up that you do.
No.
But it's again, I want to keep hammering to business owners and startup companies. The 2 million or so since last January. This is invaluable. Take this off your plate.
Yeah.
Talk to folks like Glenn and Joe. and get this off your plate so you can focus on generating revenue.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do what we do. I just don't think that the automation behind it is nearly as good as us. And I also don't think the genuine approach that we have and the care that we have for our clients. And that is, that's heartfelt. But at the end of the day, you can't know that we're good unless you give us a shot.
Right. Well, absolutely. Good point.
That's it. That music means we're rolling it in the backside of this. Of course, we can't thank Joe and Glenn enough from Candid Solutions. Candid Solutions for all your IT needs. The biggest thing is, if you hate sitting on with, I don't know, Comcast, Xfinity, whoever,
Sitting on that phone?
Hire these guys. They'll get it taken care of for you. Of course, if you need help with anything, call Bill. Reach out to him, bill@billhaase.com. Or just throw innovative strategies in the email here at 216thenet. We'll get it to them. For all of us here, 216net, thanks for getting caught in the net this morning. Check out Candid Solutions. Come back at 12:30 for questions you never thought you could ask in church.
Thank you.
And check out next week.
I don't mind.